The world's most profound spiritual truths often lie buried. They are hidden not just from the casual observer, but sometimes deliberately concealed. Think of ancient texts, burned, banned, or simply forgotten over centuries. These aren't just historical curiosities. They represent alternative understandings of reality, of humanity's place in the cosmos, and of the very nature of divinity. What if some of the core narratives we take for granted are missing crucial pieces? Imagine a landscape where certain scriptures were actively suppressed, their teachings deemed too radical or too revealing. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a documented historical pattern, and it leaves us with an incomplete picture. The problem, then, isn't just that these texts are obscure. It's how their absence shapes our collective spiritual consciousness, guiding us down certain paths while obscuring others entirely. And that brings us to a remarkable document hinting at a narrative unlike any other. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's get started. Imagine a scene set in the mysterious East, a land brimming with ancient wisdom. A royal family, powerful and wise, sends their young son on an extraordinary mission. This isn't a typical coming-of-age story. It's an allegory layered with deeper meaning. The prince must journey to Egypt, a place described in the text not as a geographical location, but as a symbolic realm of spiritual forgetfulness and material attachment. His quest: to retrieve a singular, priceless gem, a pearl guarded by a terrible serpent. This journey is fraught with peril, not just from the serpent, but from the very act of descending into that foreign land. The prince, accustomed to his royal heritage, is about to forget who he truly is. He is about to fall into a deep, dreamlike slumber, losing his memory and purpose. The strangeness intensifies when you consider the rich symbolism at play. The prince, the pearl, the serpent, Egypt, each element whispers of a truth far more profound than its literal meaning. But what is this pearl that holds such immense value, guarded by such a fearsome creature? The pearl in this ancient narrative isn't a mere gemstone you'd find in a jeweler's display. Its allure is deeper, its significance more profound. It represents something of immense spiritual worth, a treasure that transcends earthly wealth. Some scholars believe it symbolizes gnosis, or inner knowledge, a direct, intuitive understanding of divine truths. It's the kind of wisdom that cannot be taught through books or dogma, but must be experienced firsthand. This pearl is the key to unlocking one's true identity. Others suggest it embodies the soul itself, pure and radiant, but trapped within the material world. Its recovery would signify spiritual liberation, a return to an original state of grace. It's the hidden essence within each of us, waiting to be rediscovered. The serpent guarding it, therefore, isn't just a monster. It represents the forces that keep us bound to illusion, the distractions and desires of the physical realm. To retrieve the pearl means confronting and overcoming these primal attachments, bringing us face to face with the deeper conflict between gnosis and traditional religious structures. This ancient text, often called the Hymn of the Pearl, emerged from a world deeply divided. On one side stood orthodoxy, with its structured doctrines, established hierarchies, and emphasis on faith through belief. It offered a clear path, often through institutional authority. On the other side was Gnosis, an approach that prioritized direct, personal spiritual experience and inner revelation. Gnostics believed that salvation came not through adherence to external rules, but through knowing oneself and one's divine origin. This knowledge was often considered secret or esoteric. The stark contrast between these two perspectives led to immense tension. Orthodox leaders often viewed Gnosis as heretical, dangerous, and a threat to their authority. The idea that individuals could attain divine understanding without intermediaries was subversive. The story of the Pearl, therefore, becomes a quiet rebellion. It champions the personal quest for truth over prescribed dogma, suggesting that the most valuable treasure lies within. This preference for inner knowing caused a substantial friction with external religious structures, influencing even how we perceive the identity of the royal child. The royal child in the Hymn of the Pearl isn't just a character in a story. It's a profound symbolic representation. On the surface, he's a prince on a mission, but beneath that, he embodies something universal. This child actually represents the human soul, specifically the soul that is divine in origin. He is depicted as having come from a kingdom of light or a house of the Father, suggesting a celestial, pure existence. This notion directly contrasts with the idea that humanity is merely a creation, implying instead a deeper, shared lineage with the divine. The child's true nature is forgotten once he descends. The story insists that before his departure, he wears a special garment, a robe of glory. This garment symbolizes his true spiritual identity and powers. It's a reminder of his heritage, something he must shed before entering the foreign land, leaving him vulnerable and forgetful. But this child is also us. Each individual, according to this Gnostic perspective, carries this royal spark, this divine essence. The narrative implies that we too have descended into a world that makes us forget our true regal nature. The journey of the royal child into Egypt is more than a geographical relocation, it's a spiritual descent. Egypt in this allegory represents the material world, the realm of physical existence and earthly concerns. It is a place designed to make one forget their true origin. As the prince arrives, he is immediately confronted with the customs and allurements of this new land. He is offered food and drink, which unknowingly cause him to forget his mission and his true identity. This symbolizes how the pull of worldly desires and sensory experiences can cloud our spiritual memory. He sheds his robe of glory and puts on the attire of the Egyptians, further emphasizing his assimilation. He becomes indistinguishable from the inhabitants, losing himself in their ways. This illustrates how easily we can become entangled in the illusions of the physical world, forgetting our higher purpose. This descent into Egypt describes a profound spiritual amnesia. Caught in this earthly haze, the royal child loses sight of the precious pearl he was sent to retrieve, blurring the line between his noble quest and the mundane distractions. This sets the stage for a crucial element of the human condition, the language of sleep and awakening. The core of the royal child's predicament in Egypt is a profound state of spiritual sleep. This isn't just physical slumber, but a deep forgetfulness of his true identity and mission. He is awake in the physical sense, but spiritually unconscious, lost in the dreams of the material world. This sleep manifests as an immersion in the ways of Egypt, adopting its customs and forgetting his celestial heritage. The prince becomes one of them, his royal bloodline obscured by his earthly attire and behavior. It speaks to how easily we become conditioned by our environment. But here, where the allegory offers hope, a letter arrives from his parents, the king and queen. This letter isn't just a message, it's a wake-up call. It reminds him of his true lineage, his sacred mission, and the pearl he must retrieve. It gently rouses him from his slumber. This message, which bypasses his conscious forgetfulness and speaks directly to his inner being, symbolizes a spiritual awakening. It's the moment when a person begins to question the nature of their reality and remember their divine spark. And as we'll soon discover, this theme of inner remembrance finds fascinating parallels in other ancient traditions, particularly Sufi mysticism. The themes woven into the Hymn of the Pearl resonate deeply with concepts found in Sufi mysticism. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, often speaks of the human soul as a traveler exiled from its divine source, longing for reunion. This journey is central to both traditions. Sufis frequently describe the material world as a veil, a lower self, or nafs asterisk, which obscures the true spiritual reality. This mirrors the hymn's depiction of Egypt as a place of forgetfulness and illusion where the prince loses his way. Both traditions emphasize overcoming these worldly attachments. The idea of receiving a message or call from the divine, prompting spiritual awakening, is also strikingly similar. In Sufism, this might be a divine inspiration, a dream, or the guidance of a spiritual master, sheikh, that rekindles the soul's remembrance of its origin. It's the spark that ignites the journey home. Both the hymn and Sufi teachings speak of an inner quest, a journey inward to rediscover an innate divine connection. They hint at a hidden knowledge, available not through dogma, but through personal experience and purification. And this fascinating interplay of themes doesn't stop there, as similar echoes reverberate through the ancient wisdom of Hindu Vedanta. The profound ideas of the Hymn of the Pearl find remarkable parallels in Hindu Vedanta, particularly in its doctrine of Atman and Brahman. Vedanta teaches that the individual soul, or Atman, is ultimately identical with the ultimate reality, Brahman. It's a divine spark within us. However, due to Maya asterisk, the cosmic illusion or the material world, the Atman forgets its true nature and identifies itself with the temporary, limited body and mind. This state of spiritual amnesia is strikingly similar to the royal child's forgetfulness in Egypt. He, too, confuses his true identity with his temporary circumstances. The spiritual journey in Vedanta is one of self-realization, uncovering the true nature of Atman and recognizing its oneness with Brahman. This is not about gaining something new, but remembering what has always been there. This act of remembering, or smriti asterisk, mirrors the prince recalling his mission after receiving the letter. Just as the prince must shed his Egyptian garments, Vedanta emphasizes transcending the illusion of the material world to realize the true self. This involves practices like meditation and self-inquiry, aimed at revealing the mirror of the self. The letter from the king and queen acts as a mirror in the Hymn of the Pearl. It reflects back to the royal child his true identity, his royal heritage, and the sacred mission he undertook. It shatters the illusion he's been living in, revealing who he truly is beneath the layers of forgetfulness. This mirror of the self is a recurring motif across many spiritual traditions. It suggests that true self-knowledge isn't about introspection in a psychological sense, but about recognizing one's divine spark. It's seeing beyond the ego and the material self to the eternal essence within. For the prince, seeing this reflection is jarring yet liberating. He realizes his long sleep, his immersion in the foreign land, was a temporary delusion. The shock of recognition compels him to action, to reclaim what was lost. The mirror doesn't create his identity, it merely displays what's always been true. This rediscovery leads directly to action, prompting him to find the very thing that symbolizes his true nature. The first step in gathering the pearl is reclaiming his sacred attire, which the story calls the garment of glory. Upon receiving the letter and awakening from his spiritual slumber, the royal child remembers his true identity and mission. He then recalls a crucial detail, his robe of glory. This isn't just fancy clothing, it's a symbolic garment of immense spiritual significance. This robe represents his divine nature, his untainted spiritual essence, and the powers associated with his royal lineage. Before descending into Egypt, he had to shed this garment, much like a soul entering the physical world sheds its direct connection to the divine. It symbolizes the loss of immediate awareness of our higher self. The retrieving of this garment is a powerful act of regaining his spiritual status. He cleanses himself, remembering his own divine origin, and then his parents send the robe to him. It's described as being woven with shimmering colors and precious stones, imbued with divine wisdom. Donning the garment of glory signifies the reawakening of his full spiritual potential and memory. It's a literal and figurative reattire of his true self. This act is crucial for Western Christianity because of its significant deviation from this idea of an inherent divine nature. The concept of the royal child and the garment of glory presents a significant departure from mainstream Western Christian theology. The early church, in its efforts to establish a singular, authoritative doctrine, largely rejected Gnostic texts like the Hymn of the Pearl. Its emphasis on inner knowledge and a potentially divine human origin was deemed problematic. Orthodox Christianity typically stressed humanity's fallen nature, the need for salvation through grace, and the intermediary role of the Church and its sacraments. The idea that individuals could possess an inherent robe of glory or access divine knowledge directly without clerical intervention challenged this framework. Gnosticism was often labeled as heresy. The Church sought to standardize beliefs, and texts that promoted diverse or esoteric interpretations of divinity were suppressed. The Hymn of the Pearl, with its intricate allegories and focus on individual gnosis, simply didn't fit the evolving Orthodox narrative. It placed agency in the hands of the individual rather than the institution. Consequently, while the hymn offers a compelling metaphorical journey, its wisdom remained largely outside the mainstream Christian tradition. This suppression meant generations were taught a specific view of the soul as stranger in a strange land, but without the Gnostic blueprint for understanding it. The Hymn of the Pearl vividly portrays the human soul as a stranger in a strange land. The royal child, a being of divine origin, finds himself in Egypt, a foreign place deeply antithetical to his true nature. This experience mirrors the Gnostic understanding of the soul's predicament in the material world. Trapped within a physical body and subject to earthly desires, the soul often forgets its celestial home. It feels alienated, constantly searching for something it cannot quite name. This longing, this sense of being an outsider, is a profound and universal human experience recognized across many spiritual paths. The strange land is the world of illusion, of transient pleasures and material obsessions. It's a place where the soul's true purpose and glory are easily obscured. The distractions and seductions of this realm lull the soul into a state of spiritual amnesia, making it forget its royal lineage. This narrative provides a powerful framework for understanding existential angst. It suggests that the feeling of being lost or out of place isn't a flaw, but a symptom of our deeper, royal ancestry yearning to be recognized. This longing, then, naturally leads to the journey known as the returning path. The returning path is more than just a physical journey back to the kingdom of light. It signifies the soul's ultimate spiritual evolution. Once the royal child has recovered the pearl and donned his garment of glory, his direction changes entirely. He no longer wanders aimlessly in Egypt. This path is not about creating a new destination, but about retracing steps, remembering the way home. It's a process of unraveling attachments to the material world and shedding old identities that no longer serve his true self. Every step taken away from Egypt is a step toward liberation. The allegorical journey emphasizes that the path is an internal one. It signifies the soul's progressive realization of its divine origin and its detachment from the illusions of the physical realm. This isn't an easy road. It requires immense courage and constant remembrance of the goal. The hymn describes the joyous reunion with his parents, symbolizing the soul's ultimate communion with the divine source. This profound narrative of homecoming aligns perfectly with an aspect often overlooked in standard religious understanding: esoteric Christianity and the soul's journey. The Hymn of the Pearl offers a glimpse into what some scholars call esoteric Christianity, a set of mystical, often hidden teachings that existed alongside or beneath the more public doctrines. This stream of thought emphasizes the individual soul's direct journey toward spiritual realization. Unlike exoteric, outward Christianity, which often focuses on historical events, rituals, and dogma, esoteric traditions delve into the inner meaning of biblical narratives and the symbolic nature of spiritual experience. The royal child's quest is not a literal event, but an allegory for the inner life of every individual. This perspective views the soul as an eternal entity with a divine spark, capable of profound self-transformation and union with the divine. The descent into Egypt and the struggle to regain the pearl then become metaphors for the challenges and triumphs of spiritual growth within each person. It's about personal awakening. The soul's journey here is not merely about salvation from sin, but about a deeper recognition of one's inherent divinity. This shifts the focus from external rules to internal revelation. And it forces us to ask a crucial, deeply personal question that echoes through time. Are we the royal child? The most profound question the Hymn of the Pearl poses to each of us is, are we the royal child? This isn't a hypothetical inquiry. It's an invitation to recognize our own potential, our own inherent divinity. The narrative becomes a mirror reflecting our individual spiritual journey. The story suggests that each of us, like the prince, carries a forgotten royal lineage, a divine spark that has descended into the Egypt of the material world. We too might be living in a state of spiritual slumber, forgetting our true purpose and the priceless pearl we are meant to retrieve. The letter could symbolize a moment of awakening, a sudden insight, or a profound realization that stirs our memory. It could be any call that prompts us to remember our true nature and begin our returning path. It's the moment we question our current reality. Therefore, the Hymn of the Pearl is not just an ancient allegory, it's a timeless call to self-discovery. It challenges us to look beyond the superficial and recognize the magnificent, royal essence within. It asks us to embark on our own quest, to find our own pearl and reclaim our garment of glory. Make sure to subscribe for more religious videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.